Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of From the Desk of Dan White. The big news this week is the Federal Reserve meets next week. And the question is, what are they going to do? Well, I think it's all but guaranteed that there's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut. The Fed, as I've mentioned for a couple months, is between a rock and a hard place. They have a dual mandate of, having full employment, but also to keep inflation under control. And if inflation is rising, that would say they have to raise rates. But if the job market is deteriorating, that says they have to cut rates. And that's kind of where we're at today. Bad news on the U.S. jobs market is likely to induce the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates next week. I think that's going to happen. We just had the largest negative job revision on record. For the year ending March 31st of 2025, the revision to non-farm payrolls came in at a loss of 911,000 jobs. That's worse than the previous record set in 2009 at a negative 902,000. And nearly all the downgrade was in the private sector, where hiring had been overstated by 880,000 jobs. So the economy is slowing. The labor market is far weaker than expected. And I think we're going to see a rate cut next week. So the Fed is apparently saying at this stage in time that they're more worried about the job market and the economy slipping into a recession than they are about inflation. So if inflation runs a little bit hot the next couple months, they're okay with that because they're more concerned about the job market. So, and yet all that being said, the market just continues to go up. I mean, we had an assassination this week and the market went up. I mean, the market just seems to shrug off everything, which is a little alarming. And, even rate cuts, when you think about it, they're not the panacea that everybody thinks they're going to be. I mean, the rate cuts are not doing anything about our deficit. Just came out today that we had, the deficit for the last month was much higher than anticipated. So again, the lowering rates, it's going to lower our interest cost on the debt, but we just keep adding to the debt. So that's not solving that issue. And I don't know that, lower rates are going to prompt companies to hire either. So I'm not sure it's going to have the intended result, because last time the Fed cut rates, the long-term bonds went up. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, that's kind of where we're heading. Market's at an all-time high. I just came across an article recently, which was kind of optimistic, from Howard Marks. He's a famed investor. He says today's valuations are worrisome, but not irrational. The S&P's up 10% year to date. It's up 31% from the bottom. And he still stops short of saying, hey, don't worry about where the valuations are. The Magnificent Seven are still carrying the rally, and they're not slowing down. And this is kind of interesting. More than half of the S&P 500's 58% total return over 2023 and 2024 came from the Magnificent Seven. So together they now make up almost a third of the S&P 500's entire market value. And that kind of concentration is rare and often concerning. But he says, these companies are thriving in a way that the broader markets are not. The Mag 7 boasts dominant market positions, large competitive moats, and nearly infinite pricing power. They're also at the heart of the artificial intelligence revolution. And that explains why their average P/E ratio is 33. It's well above the mid to high teen range historical average. But Marx argues it might be warranted given their advantages and long growth runways. The other 493 companies in the S&P trade at an average P of 22, and that's still elevated, but it lacks the same underlying support from durable competitive advantages. So in other words, the problem isn't that the whole market is overpriced. It's just a small group of companies are doing all the work and many others are just riding their coattails. So, I think when when they cut rates, it could be juice for the market. The market could go on a nice little run. Long term, is it sustainable? I don't know at these levels, but we'll see. But as we sit right now, I'm pretty sure the Fed's going to cut a quarter basis point next week. The market could take off a little bit, and inflation could go up as well. So that's kind of where we are on the market today. We introduced a new segment last time about our mailbag. And one of the big questions we always get from clients or prospects is, when should I claim Social Security? Should I take it as soon as I can or wait until full retirement age? And the answer is it depends. Our rule of thumb is always, the higher of the two spouses. If you're married, the higher the two spouses, wait as long as possible. The lower, we're not as concerned about. If you're going to take it before full retirement age, you're subject to the earnings test where you can't make more than $23,000 a year, or they start taking some of it away. So you got to be cognizant of that. I always assume people are going to live a long time, and if you're going to live a long time, you ought to hold off on Social Security. Spousal benefits, you still get a haircut if you take those early. And then the big question, will Social Security be around? It's going to be around. It may, if they don't do anything, there's going to be a reduction in it. They still have about 8 years to work out a solution to that, which hopefully they will. But again, the correct way to say, when should you take your Social Security? Let us come in and do a lifetime income analysis for you, and that'll tell you, if you live to certain ages, what's the best way to claim. So that's it from our mailbag. Our upcoming events are rapidly approaching. In September, we have our referral event. This will be the last chance to refer a guest to qualify. Tuesday, September the 23rd, we are hosting our fall referral event in a suite at the Phillies game. And as a reminder, in order to qualify for the event, you must refer a friend, a family member, a colleague to attend one of our upcoming dinner seminars or to come in for a complimentary consultation with one of our advisors. We have 4 different seminars taking place next week. And as a reminder, we're looking for people that are 55 and older. We don't really work too much with the 25-year-olds. So we're looking for people that are nearing retirement. And we only have a few seats left in the box. Any questions, please reach out to our events coordinator, Chris. We also have our October Enrichment Series coming up. Our next event in our Enrichment Series will be an informational session about how to avoid scams and financial threats. I'm looking forward to this. Dean McCarthy, who is a certified anti-money laundering specialist, will be joining us to discuss the most common forms of scams seen today and what to look out for. And please note, we are now on a waiting list for the in-person event, which is going to occur on October the 8th, but you can still register for the recorded option. Please note that for the recorded option, you will receive an email after the presentation day with a recording of the presentation and a PDF handout. So again, I look forward to that as well. And then we have our 6th annual Pie Drive-By rapidly approaching. It's just around the corner. You may recall back in 2020 when COVID hit, we couldn't really see a lot of people, so we implemented a pie drive-by. And over the years, it's kind of morphed. I mean, we give everybody a pie, but we ask them to give us a donation as well, either food for the local shelters or a toy for Toys for Tots. So donations can be any unwrapped new toy, non-perishable food items, clothing, or household essentials. So if you want to register for the Pie Drive-By, just keep in mind it's a kind of a donation thing to us as well. An email with the registration link will be sent out on October the 1st. Please RSVP no later than Friday, October the 24th. The dates, Lewis is going to be Tuesday, November the 4th from 10:30 to 4. 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Middletown will be Thursday, November the 6th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And in Glen Mills on Thursday, November the 13th will be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. as well. And any questions on the Pie Drive-By, again, reach out to Chris in our events, Chris from events. And then finally, we have our Google reviews. We really do appreciate people that have gone online and given us a review. It really builds up our presence online. So if you have a Gmail account and have yet to give us a Google review, we would certainly appreciate it if you would do that as well. And finally, kind of a somber week whenever we cross 9/11. 24 years ago, it's hard to believe. It seems like it was yesterday. So, say a prayer for the country. And then, of course, we had an assassination the day before, so that's great too, But please just pray for the country, and hopefully these political attacks will stop at some time in the near future. Football season is upon us. Go Birds, and I hope everybody has a great week. Take care.